Time to talk.
Time to talk. We are here.
Next stepping.
Two-stepping?
At least two. Can't take a next without a first.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
You're not going to get very far.
no, not at all. So why are we starting a podcast?
So
why is it called
here
Next
we
Steps?
are starting a podcast. I've started now 3 podcasts. One with Brett
The
called The 10-Minute Think.
10-minute think through.
Did it take 10 minutes?
We had never. It was never 10 minutes.
A to-the-point conversation about the Bible, theology, and current events.
Man, that's it. I forgot the
I heard it
tagline.
so many times.
Yeah.
Then we needed a little more than 10 minutes. So we
Yes, we did.
shifted it. It was then called Help Me Understand,
That's right.
which is a running joke because I encountered the phrase help me understand for like when something's going wrong that I don't agree with or you perceive that I'm against.
Help me understand was
And
not
I
like
mean-
a positive thing. It was more like set it in discipline. Listen, help me understand. Why did you do that?
It's me coming toward you saying, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Just help me understand.
Make it clear.
Yeah, that was the spirit of the axiom.
So
Help me
then next
understand.
steps comes into play.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a little bit more gracious than
I guess. Yeah, I'm in a better
Hey.
mood now. So this is us gathering together. I don't know how to do a podcast without Brett because he's always been in the room whenever we've done podcasts.
Just around.
No, I was always on Brett's podcasts, and so we wanted to kick off an opportunity for us to hopefully go a little further with the sermon on Sunday morning. A lot of times we're cut a little short here. We only get 60 minutes. We talk about that from time to time. And also just for application's sake, how do we think more about the text that we've looked at that Sunday morning and then put it into practice. And so we want to do that. And then we also want to do what you and I did all those years of what became hundreds of episodes.
Hundreds of episodes.
It's really true.
Not kidding.
People don't even know it's out there.
People can say what they want, but we were perseverant.
no
kept
one,
making them.
No one listened, and yet we prevailed.
Yeah.
I think. So we want to do that. We want to talk about the things that are on all our minds and help us think more clearly. I'm a little hoarse today. Apologize for that. I have a cough drop in. People brought me cough drops throughout the morning today. Like kept
how
coming to
many
me.
total do you think that
This
you got
is not. This
today?
is not all. That's 5. That's I got one in my mouth, and that's where people. 2 different people. Shout out Tammy and
That's a thieves cough drop. Is what that
and
is.
Ann. Yes, who
Yeah.
both said no. You think you have cough drops? These are thieves cough drops. And they are better. I will say. They worked better. So, yeah, we're just we're gonna dig in and see how this works here in our new studio.
New studio.
Which Garrett has worked tirelessly to assemble over the last few weeks.
It works. As long as nothing falls, we'll be good.
Your wife showed me a video where she said, I think Garrett's beginning to unravel because you were trying out all the different chairs and all the different shots. But I really appreciate it because it just showed how thorough you're trying to be on it. And it does.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. I don't know how we look, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, and a chair for me at 5'8", soaking wet, and a chair for you.
We're not the same, but
Not the same level.
it's okay.
So,
It's all
but
good.
here we are.
We got different camera angles, so it helps.
Yeah,
Helps
They'll
everybody. The
probably
mics move.
Probably make it look like you're taller or something, but
I can slouch more.
Yeah.
But today we started a new series called I Surrender. I almost said I Understand. We've been talking about help me understand. I Surrender, a study in 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Yep.
Chapter 1 today.
Yep. 1 Samuel has all kinds of blood and guts, all to get us to the point where David gets on the scene eventually. And it's just a really human book. It's a lot of mess, a lot of questions, and the people of God trying to be the people of God obediently. God having made a covenant, a promise that the kingdom would come. David, of course, ascends to the throne eventually, but we're like months from that. Okay? So we lay the foundation today, just chapter 1, trying to look at Hannah's. So Hannah, it's husband, wife, nobody's from nowhere. and they are part of what God is doing and bringing David to the throne. They have a child, can't have a child, causes us to wrestle with questions related to that. Real world, I think, in that way. And then also, when she prays for a child, we wrestle with this question: is she really kind of making a deal with God? Like, is she, when she prays, God, if you will give me this child, I will give him to you for your service? Is she making a deal, or is she fully surrendered? That was the idea. You ever made any deals with God? Like, what did it take for you to get Lane?
Oh man, yeah, that's just it's a miraculous thing. I think honestly, I think that the higher you raise the level of desperation, you are also raising like your vulnerability. And so in the bad sense, like if you're making decisions just in general, the more desperate you are, then the more vulnerable you are to accept false information, the more vulnerable you are to believe a lie. But also, if you find yourself in a point of desperation, you make yourself vulnerable before the Lord and say, what else is there for me to do other than, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know the backstory of what her quiet time with the Lord had been like, or if this is the first deal she's ever made, or if it's like, no, I know what the pattern is, that if I give this thing to God, then this is how it's going to have to go. I'm going to have to, if I want God to answer my prayer, I want to have to give whatever the answer is to him in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, what other alternative does she have? Where do you get a baby?
No.
Besides from the Lord.
Yeah.
So what level of desperation does it take to actually get to the point where, we all know instinctively, I think, the way the Lord works is not if then. I talked about that in the sermon.
Yeah.
If I do this, will you do that? Like, that's not how God works. We also know we have this tension of he blesses obedience. Right?
Yeah.
And he also responds to prayer. And so somehow in that, there's all that tension of he does what I ask him to do. Not always, though, right? And so, like, what does it look like to know the difference between when you're trying to get something from him by asking versus, like when I'm coming with the right heart, right?
I thought what you said if it goes 1, 2, 3 being prayer, pregnant, praise,
Yeah.
that's contractual.
Yeah.
Like it's a if then statement. And then if it goes prayer straight to praise, regardless of the outcome,
Yeah.
and the Lord blesses the prayer, then that's the approach with a pure heart.
Yeah, that's a surrender, surrendered posture. When you're, and by praise, it's not just like, okay, let's sing the song, right?
Right.
But it's like a settled place of, God, I'm trusting you with the outcome, no matter what. I'm bringing you this, this request, believing you can answer. Like I'm really
Right.
asking for the answer. I really want the baby,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna trust you no matter what.
Yeah.
I think it's New Testament language too. Philippians, Paul's teaching people how to pray when he says, like, if do not be anxious about anything, but in everything with joy make your requests known to God. And it's also like he tags on the end of that, and with thanksgiving. And so what Paul is teaching us is that you don't wait to say thank you to God or praise him because of what God can do. It's that you pray confidently, knowing that whatever God does is the best answer to your prayer that you could have.
Yeah, it's good. Thankful no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah, I think it applies to all kinds of circumstances, situations. It takes the big ones, babies, jobs,
Cancer.
career paths, cancer,
Yeah.
all those things to draw out the dynamics. But it's really true in how we relate to God all the time.
The lie is peace and not needing him, right? That you're ever at a time where you're not in desperation.
Yeah, or that you were ever in control to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything else out of chapter 1? I know it's the setup to
Yeah.
the whole series. Anything that you wish you could have squeezed in our
No, I was
35 minutes.
laughing earlier because I was thinking about next week. The heading in the text for next week says Eli's worthless sons. I can't wait. Eli the priest has 2 sons who are totally disobedient. So next question is like, what do you do in that scenario as he
That's really
leads the
funny.
people of God, right?
I was trying to find if you were something like flipping around. It's that I wanted to see who did the study notes in this Bible for 1 Samuel. It's a guy named Phillips Long, who's a New Testament professor at Regents College. And in his description of the overall book, he calls 1 Samuel one of the most unflinchingly honest books about sinners and society. So it's like there's no like painting it to make it look good.
Yeah, I pointed to it this morning, and one of the commentators I read said, I think it said like deceitful politicians, conspiracy to murder, abusive husbands, wives who betray their husbands.
This is just the news.
Yeah, it was the news. All right, that's what I said this morning. It's like Chicago. It's like
Yeah.
the streets of Chicago playing out on the pages of the Bible. So the other thing we want to do with the time is dig into a topic, and we thought
There are a lot out right now.
yeah, there's a little bit going on. Did they clone Jim Carrey, for instance? I mean, I'm sure people would love to hear us speculate on whether or not that's
Jim
actually
Carrey
him.
is Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Who knows?
A more real note, the world's a little tense.
Yeah, a little
So we
tense.
pray for
Iran.
our friends.
Pray for
Yeah.
Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much going on in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
So much happening with Christians in Iran, and just prayed for that this morning as well. That the church would flourish. The church has been expanding in Iran for years. It's not
It's like the
not
most,
a well-kept
like the more people are being converted in Iran, like in the last decade, than in all the decades before.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. It's incredible. And then to think, what if they have freedom to worship, right? And they have the freedom to go tell people about Jesus without the fear of death, literally. You know, like what could happen now? So something to pray for in that regard for sure.
But today,
On a relevant note, but a little less time sensitive to the news, I wanted to talk about sports betting.
I do have to say, somebody put a over under on
Yeah.
the amount of views that this first episode would get, and they're going to tithe all of it.
They're going to tie
they're-
all the
yeah,
winnings.
all
I
the
have that
winnings.
question for
That's
later.
it.
So I want to
That's
save
it
that.
then, for sure.
I actually have that question in the back of my mind that I want to ask. But
What?
no, I want to know, like, I was going to ask you if somebody, let's say they got, I don't know, lucky, or they made the right wager and they won a bunch of money, and they came in there like, hey, we want to just pay off the rest of the building that's going up.
Okay,
Well,
I think I've told
let
you
me
a story.
let me pause there. We'll start the
That's fine.
conversation. and
Yeah,
then-
let's just
yeah,
wait.
yeah.
Well, I will say, while I was on mine too, I had a seminary professor. He was a pastor in Knoxville who got fired from his previous church because someone won the lottery in his church, wanted to give a huge donation, and he refused it because he said it was like dirty money.
Oh, my.
Legitimate. I'm not even like, I'm not making that
I don't
up.
know what I think is more outrageous, the fact that he got fired or they wouldn't take the money.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've shown your hand now.
I don't know. But we want to start with a few statistics to start the conversation. So, sports betting started. What did the article said? In
Yeah,
the
I mean, you know,
70s, 80s.
Well, I mean, gambling, of course.
Gambling is not new.
Gambling has been going on for a while, but
There's like a casting of lots even in the Bible.
right in its current form in Vegas, obviously took off over the last like 50 years or so.
Yeah.
But hit its stride certainly on our devices, kind of in the 2018, 17, 18, 2020 range. It's blown up incredibly fast, right?
Yeah.
Stats: one third of teenage boys. Okay, so you can't even have the app unless you're 18,
Right.
Allegedly.
right? And so, still a third of guys in their teen years admittedly, which everyone knows, that's understated.
That's right.
So everybody, I mean, it seems like a safe place to say everybody's doing it.
It's a
Very
majority.
common.
It's probably more than a third. It's a
I
majority.
imagine, yeah. You said you said to me at the gym the other day.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, I think it's got to be more like 7 out of 10. I think that there are more guys who do. I think that the outlier, the minority, are guys who aren't. And when I say like when you go, everybody's doing it. I don't mean that like one time they downloaded the app and made a bet. I'm talking like this is a lifestyle that's just considered normative at this point.
An addiction.
They would.
We would say an addiction.
Oh, for sure.
They would just say
This is just what it.
it's a way
This is what it means to live and breathe in 2026.
right. It's my new way to be involved with my
To them, it's the
favorite
same
teams.
as like to them, online sports betting would be the equivalent of like what did we do every morning before school growing up? We'd turn on Sports Center,
yeah.
and it was just part of the existence. You didn't question the right or wrong or morality, or indifference of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like attached to the experience of sports.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I mean, don't you feel weird when you're watching something on television and scrolling your phone at the same time? I always have the moment where I'm like,
What am I doing?
what am I doing with my life? Like, how can I not pay attention to that screen while I'm looking at this screen?
Have you seen this? There's like an actual clip, and it's a real news story. Matt Damon, who has like a big deal with Netflix to produce and direct and star in so many movies, whatever, has revealed that like part of the Netflix's contractual agreement with him and his movie, I don't know if it's him or like all movies in general, but that at 3 to 4 points during the movie itself, the character on screen has to stop and explain what's going on and the plot to kind of catch everybody up, because Netflix knows that most people watch movies with their phone in their hand. And so they know they're not catching the details or even like keeping up and paying attention.
I did not know that. Just to have moments where they break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, so far.
That's right.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
I mean, but that's what we're after with sports betting, right? Like that's what the whole thing is based on. Like you don't just experience the sport. What's really going on is there's also this layer of some personal connection I have to what's happening on the screen in front of me.
Investment, no pun intended, of the viewer.
Well, it's like they figured out a way to solve the boring game or the boring sport.
Right.
Because if
What's
like,
the most boring sport?
no comment. I mean, but I mean, if you don't at least if you don't live in Cleveland, do you care about the Cleveland Browns? You know,
Right.
if you don't live in Arizona, do you care about the Arizona Diamondbacks? And I mean, I don't know, but if I've got money on them, I care a lot, and I'm rooting for
Right.
them. So they've solved boredom when it comes to watching sports.
Yeah. So much good stuff Brett shared with me, podcast. The creator of The Big Short and Moneyball, Michael Lewis, season on how it came to be, how it grew in popularity, how the laws were passed, kind of behind the scenes look, at how sports betting became what it is.
The irony of ironies is that it all began in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like New Jersey senators, New Jersey circuit court judges, even in front of the Supreme Court, who had a justice who had served as a judge in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really wild. Worth the investment of the time. Got to be sensitive to the language a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that there are so many dang ads in that podcast.
Half of it
Holy
is,
cow. Listen to the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
Forward.
and like most of the Pushkin stuff, it's going to lean pretty hard liberal
Yeah.
bias, but
Yeah.
the info's good.
Yeah. Good stuff for sure. Like the things you don't think about, such as I'm doing interviews with athletes who they're now, the game is over and they get death threats because they didn't hit the 8 rebounds necessary in order for someone to win their bet on them for that night.
Yeah.
What sports is becoming basically is just all about greed. Like you're like, okay, like sports is becoming about greed.
Yeah.
But now it's our greed, right? Not just, the greed of the masses or the nameless, faceless, the institution, whatever. But with personal investment, with the finances comes personal investment that gets really personal for the athlete.
Kai says, this is a question I don't have the answer to, but like, it also seems like entertainment is not enough. And so, like, going back to your example of like who watches a movie with a phone in their hand, the person who does that is a person who's not fully satisfied with what's going on in the movie. And so, would you talk about like how it is that like greed is not just a thing that exists on its own, but that it does actually sort of ruin things or kind of it comes in and what once was just intended to be a good thing or an okay thing, well then now it's corrupted because now it's attached to you trying to meet a need or trying to fulfill a desire.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a lot. Sin is taking something that's good and turning it into a god, right? So
Yeah.
takes God's good creation. God provides for us. He gives us good things. 1 Timothy 4, he's provided everything richly for our enjoyment, right? All types of food, all types of, all these things that he's made are good. But when they become ultimate, they become a lowercase g God, and that God can never satisfy.
Yeah.
And if you chase a God that can't satisfy, eventually dark things are going to become a part of your reality.
Yeah.
I mean, we think of anything. I mean, put your finger on whatever sin might be present, but greed. There's nothing. I mean, money's not evil, right? But when you love money, when like Jesus said, it is in the place of your heart that can be occupied by either God or that. Then it becomes evil. Like your love for resource and excess and
Just more.
Yeah. At its root is just more. Your love for more, like an insatiable desire
Yeah.
for more,
Yeah.
takes you to a dark place.
So what would you say to the person who it is more just I feel more involved when I bet. Like I don't need money. It's just cool to see it grow, and then like it just goes right back into the app.
Yeah. What would you say?
Can I ask you, if the person asking this question is a Christian?
Yeah.
Okay, so a Christian is saying it's just something that I do, and it's like it's a hobby or entertainment.
Right.
I would say this person has an underdeveloped theology of what it means to enjoy the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
An underdeveloped theology. I saw it this morning. Like when you don't have a declared theology, this is what I think about, and you fill in the blank, and it doesn't have to be sin. It can be, this is what I believe about marriage, or like in your world, this is what I believe about baptism and why the Bible says it and why we're going to do it this exact way. The reason you want to develop some theological guardrails around that is because when you don't, you're just hoping and really putting your trust in this man-made or world-constructed system to keep you safe, which is a horrible idea.
Right.
And so this guy who's saying, well, I just do it for entertainment, is basically saying, well, I'm trusting the CEO of FanDuel or DraftKings or Jamie Foxx with MGM Bet that they have my best interest at heart, which I go, that's ignorance at its best. It's ignorance.
I mean, listen to the Lewis podcast if you think that's even a possibility.
Not possible.
It is all greed, all money. Like, I think what you said that I was trying to call to mind was, like, next thing you know, you're playing in DraftKings Stadium or whatever. Like, it's only been how many years since DraftKings became a thing?
Yeah.
Max 7?
7
Right.
years.
2018.
2018, the
2025.
rulings passed, and so 2019, things began to it was 2019, that Super Bowl where the betting companies spent more money than beer companies.
Yeah.
And so 7 years, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can remember people losing Heisman trophies because they were betting on games.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how, like I know this makes me sound like the old pastor, right? But is it not enough to say you're not going to win? Like, you're going to lose money. And if you're playing with your money, quote unquote, for fun, that implies you're trying to win more money. Right? I mean, I don't mean to be like remedial math here.
Yeah.
But like, you only gamble to win money.
That's
You're not having a good time.
That's the reason people show up in Vegas.
When
They don't
things
show up.
cost too much, like when you go ride go-karts in Pigeon Forge, isn't it always there like that little twinge? It's like, why does this cost so dang much? You know what I mean?
The gas can't be this much for a little go-kart.
Yeah, and
$13.
you're like out there with your kid, having a blast, watching them enjoy it, but the whole time you got a little bit of cynicism where you're like, this frustrates me.
Yeah.
I just get frustrated because I always get the slow go-kart.
So, like, isn't that what you're doing when you're gambling your money? Like, if you're losing money, you think you're going to win. That's why you gamble. You know? I mean, again, it's remedial, I know, but like, you're trying to game your finances in order to have more in an inordinate way than you would be able to earn by either working or, like, if you're not going to have anything extra, you're gambling, making a little bit that you wouldn't have. It's not intended to be attached to the entertainment, like to the sport.
Do you think it's inherently like gender specific? Like, is it a part of the masculine makeup to think, despite like all the podcasts, your broke great uncle who lost all of his money gambling it away, and you go, I know it's an algorithm, but I can beat it. What is that? Like, where is the like the stove in the guy that's providing that kind of heat to get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a talk back at CrossCon in January where Jeremy Pierre, who's a professor at Southern Seminary, was talking about like the lie in sports betting is really, it's like the deepest form of pride, because what they're saying is we have neutralized the entire world. It's now on this line.
Yeah.
This line is where common sense exists.
Right.
Where the average man is right here on this line. So when you place a bet, what you're saying is, I'm smarter than the entire world.
Yes.
Like, you're saying, I am literally on the positive side of humanity here.
Yeah.
Which I think is really insightful. That's what gambling is. You think you're smarter than everybody else.
That you have like a tip.
Yeah.
It's almost like,
or worse, that it's inside you.
all right, then make the
you
argument that wanting to gamble is not in some way connected to Gnosticism, and thinking that there's secret knowledge that if I could just get this, that it will actually like make me superior, better, lead to more flourishing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's at the root of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you keep thinking, I get that people win, okay? Like,
Someone has to.
someone has to win, or they
Yeah.
know when to play. There has to be just enough winning. We're going to get tired of winning, whatever. Like, there has to be just enough winning to lure you back.
Right.
So someone's winning.
Okay.
But you're gonna lose,
Yes, it's very League of Their Own. You're going to lose.
Yeah, it is. I love this quote. I keep thinking, I was like, I got to read this article in Harper's. One gambling addiction specialist explained, I've never had a late stage alcoholic say, if I get drunk just right, my liver will heal. So that's
The cure,
lie.
the cure is more bad.
Right. So that's the lie in gambling. Like if I get this one, eventually I'll get back to zero or back to the positive.
Yeah.
And I'll.
No, there's no drinking yourself sober.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think. Garrett.
Whoa. I don't think so.
No, I don't think
I don't
so.
think it works that way.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
I mean, so what's the, like, could you say, Brett, gambling is a sin? Like gambling is absolutely a sin.
Yeah, I do think so.
Yeah.
And it's not because I have, this verse in the New Testament or Old Testament that says to wager your money means that you're in violation of God's divine statutes and law. No, there's not. We've read through this multiple times. That verse is not in the Bible.
Right.
But there's also things that we understand as sin in the Bible because we understand the character of God, and we also understand what his desire is for his creation, his sons and daughters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at the root, I think you have these principles of we're supposed to work for our labor, right? So, we're supposed to work for our reward.
Yeah.
We're supposed to receive
Labor for your gain.
labor for your gain, right? Proverbs 13:11, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. That's the opposite of what we're after with gambling. Want to gain big. It's like, when it comes to gambling on whatever, over under on State of the Union phrases or
Length of time. Or
yeah, like we're trying to hit based on something that's not where our reward comes from.
Yeah, you got to make that distinction between reward and return.
Yeah.
Jesus is heavily in favor of being a good steward of what he's entrusted you with and then seeing a return on that so that it can further prove your trust in God's faithfulness.
Yeah.
That's the parable.
Yeah, that's right. That's what matters. Ecclesiastes 3:13. Also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. The return from your labor is a gift.
Yes.
When you see good that's come from the work you've done, that's how God designed the world to work. And when you subvert that, try to go around it in order to gain, we step outside God's design, and that's going to stir up all kinds of passions in us that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, agreed. Because I think that the best way you enjoy a return is knowing that you earned it. It's like that. There's no better feeling on whatever at the end of the day when you've really put your hand to it. But then there's also there's something waited for you at the end of the day, and you don't feel like it's something that you're getting because you don't deserve it. You're like, man, it feels good to be good, tired, and then get a good return on my work.
Yeah, for sure.
So would you say then that all sports betting is, boil it down, simplest of terms, it's a perversion of work and reward?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, you can't break any commandment without breaking God's commandment to not covet. And so the reason you're doing it is because you want what doesn't belong to you. That's your heartbeat. That's your blood type. If you're into this.
I honestly, genuinely don't even remember which one, but I did get an account on one of these things.
Nice.
A couple years ago.
Here we go.
I remember laying on the couch in the living room.
This is the part we want to cut and make like the Instagram post.
Morristown
I will
pastor.
probably slide it right there. Because it was like free whatever, put $5 down, they give you. It was very.
Put
little.
$5 down, get 25 back. You're like, cool.
Yeah.
I get 20
So
bucks out of this.
I did it, and I was watching golf. I'm betting on golf, which is, come on, that's as lame as it
Makes a lot of
gets,
sense.
But like you're not gonna bet on a golf tournament like bottom line winner. So it was, does Scotty make birdie on 17 or whatever, right?
Yes.
And then when he didn't, I remember just thinking like, I'm like reloading. Like I could see it. He didn't, but my money's gone. But it was like,
It's gone.
yeah, I was like, really? I mean, it's their money, of course, right?
Yeah.
Like it's ever real money. But it's just it's like, how could this be? I could see how this could get really, like it could feed something in you really fast. Because I didn't get angry because they had said it was their money anyway. They have my information now. China's probably,
That's it.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't get mad. Like if I wanted something out of this, I'd have to invest a lot more. Whether what I wanted from it was just truly like gain or like just passion. Like, come on, pull me into this. How could that exist without the inherent like sinful nature of it? You know what I mean? Like, how could those dynamics play out in a righteous way? Like, it just seems like at its core, what you said about coveting, it seems like it has to be right at the heart of what gambling's all about.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're getting at, which I think is really helpful, however many minutes we are into this, but like, why
We're still getting our feet under us.
I know.
I don't know how long we've been talking.
Me either. But this is like why this issue is not legalistic, and this is not just trying to get nitpicky. Like it's really not, and it's really not even like a trying to pick on guys or it's definitely not a small percentage of the population. It's a lot, but like this does matter because what you're wanting is something that only God can provide. And you're looking, this is absolutely it's the C.S. Lewis, it's the settling for lesser glories, far too easily pleased. Thinking that something that is fleeting is all that there is. I think it can be a good thing because I think that God does wire you. I've seen this in you, especially in that, like, you're somebody who sees the potential, whether it's in a person or in a project or whatever the case is, and you want to capitalize on that. And I go, that's absolutely the way God is wired and gifted and called you. And now that's being fleshed out in your pastoral leadership. But like, it goes really sideways when what God has put in you to bring glory to himself and advance his kingdom is now like, I'm using God gifting things for personal advancement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not this other category of my personality that's drawn to gambling or sports betting.
Right.
It's all of me
Right.
that God has created that is now drawn to a perversion of what's better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the old adage is like you can use ministry to build people or people to build ministry. Right. So like, what do you want? Do you want to take the gifts that you have, whatever God's given you, and use that for his glory and other people's good? Or are you going to take that and prop yourself up with it?
Yeah.
That's what we do with our resources. Just
Yeah.
like we can with people.
For sure.
Yeah.
So then what's the response then to somebody who investment versus like quick stocks? Like if it's money that you're trying to grow, is there a clear line, or what would you say to that person?
Yeah, the stock market's not gambling. I think it can be done with the same level of insight or knowledge as you might get when you're trying to gamble.
Right.
But it's not gambling.
Right.
It's investing money for gain, like very much in a work I mean, it's
incremental over time.
It's capitalism. Like you're investing someone else's. So it's not gambling.
Right.
You can do it in just as stupid of ways as you would gamble your money.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not gambling at its heart, at its root.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you start, that is such a justifying statement, self-justification of like, well, people don't know. There's no guarantee on the return of an investment into the stock market.
Right.
In a similar fashion, why is an online sports bet? Because there's societal norms that exist, and we've agreed to live civically, which is also very much like what it means to be a person who follows Jesus biblically. And so if you're having to say, well, isn't it like your tip of this is probably sin and this is probably bad is when there's a justification that only you are making. Like if you have to say there's not a stigma about it, there's a stigma about it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't take this the wrong way.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everybody knows this is the wrong way. Yeah. And you know, everything else, I mean, potential scenarios of just, what if I set aside this money? You know, what if I'm just truly not going to touch my $25, $50, $100? Like, round of golf is $50. I just take the $50 and try. Am I not doing something good by trying to make 61?
If you've allotted it to be
50?
fun money, quote
Yeah.
unquote, like do the Dave Ramsey envelope, like you have your fun money for the week. Can you not just put it on that?
Yeah.
Is that where you were going?
Yeah, I mean,
with
if
it?
the root of it is sin, that's what I would say. Like, if the root of it is sin, and you, like, can you just sin a little? like, just,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know. And this is so like, I have two thoughts on that question. The first is, like, very rarely would you say that it's good advice for you to use your fun money on something that can potentially turn into an addiction and ruin your life.
Yeah.
You know? But I would also say, good grief, this is such a modern Western U.S. That mindset
Right.
of having resources in your life that don't belong to God is just, the Bible doesn't know that
Right.
mindset.
It's like, hey, I think I've got a better way for you to spend
The
$50.
earth is his and all of
Right.
it is in it. You know what I mean? So there's no part of your resources where you go, I mean, that again, like, it's just too easy. It's too easy for me to start thinking like, I'm going to justify having gambling money because I tithe. No, you're a fool, because like you're saying, I'm therefore putting God in obligation and contract to me, because I'm saying to God, if I give you what belongs to you, then you don't get to have a say as to what I say belongs to me.
The other 90% is mine. I'm
Right.
okay with it. I've worked my deal out with you.
Yeah.
Bring it back full circle.
Nowhere. Yeah. God is
not the 11th
God is
commandment.
unfamiliar with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, how rich are you that you have, let's say you have been faithful with your finances and you are enjoying time with your family and dating your wife, and you have some hobby, right? Like, very few people who listen to us are going to be people who are making such sacrifices that, you know, like they never go to Starbucks or whatever, right? Like, how rich are you that you can do all of those things and still have disposable income that you can set on fire by attaching it to your DraftKings account? Like, there's a lot of good that we could do in the world
Yeah.
if we turned our attention to what's good and not just what can I get away with.
And don't you think some of this too is like, no one goes into it having had this conversation. Like, I would be curious to know, has anyone ever called you and said, hey, I'm thinking about getting into sports betting. What do you? Probably not a lot
I
of those.
should end the podcast right there.
So, but no one does that. No one enters into very
Hey,
few
is
people.
this a good idea?
That's right.
Like, is it okay?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, Maddie Finley said that. Like, very few Christians wake up and say, you know what? It's a good day for an affair. You know?
Right.
But the reason we end up like, I would say the person who, if you have that level of disposable income, you're also bored. And there's so much that you're ignorant of what it means to really walk with God and be a brother to other people in the family of God. And
There's so much more life to be experienced in His goodness.
yeah,
And for you to be a part of, whether it's physically or financially.
yeah, that's good.
Yep, absolutely.
I like that.
Shall we bring it to a close?
Sure. I see that you made a note. So what's the next step? It doesn't have to be that clean and tidy.
Yeah. I mean, when in regard to sports betting, like, I think what's coming out for me as you guys have talked is like push back to what's good. If you want to do what's good, not just what can I justify, like what's dangling is always attractive, So rather than like maximizing what could come from a potential compromise, what if instead you just thought, how could I honor God with every dollar that I have? How could I work, trust Him with the results? I mean, invest, do your research, make a ton of money, use it for the kingdom. How can I use my resources well, not just what can I get away with my resources?
That's it.
That's good. That's good. Ben, will you pray us out?
Yeah. Father, thank you for the resources you entrust to us and for how you do work to bring about good from the labor that you've also blessed us with. And I pray that we would be wise. Pray for those who are battling this. We know it's lots of people all around us, and only by your grace that none of the three of us are currently battling this addiction. It's all around us, and it would make sense that we would go and give in. And so, Lord, thank you for your sustaining power. And we pray that that would intervene in the lives of people who are caught up in the mess of it. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Good stuff, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.